Hey, it's Jack Gately from Jack Gately Real Estate and the Online Real Estate Academy. Let's get into our market update for February. And so that, of course, would be the numbers from January. But before we do, I want to address a question I got. Last update, I did not wear my signature black polo, and I got comments on that. So I am back with the signature black polo, so you can relax. I don't want to throw any curveballs at you in terms of fashion. So back with the black polo. All right, let's get into today's update. The average single-family home price in Massachusetts slipped just a teeny bit to $667,000 in the month of January. So as you can see, for the last 4 or 5 months, we've been in a fairly tight band as basically the market is consolidating. We had a big run-up early last year, and then as you can see, the price fell quite a bit. And now we're in fairly tight band, which is reflective of what's going to happen with interest rates, right? Interest rates went up a little bit the other day, but only a quarter of a point. And it seems as if we're in some type of inflection point where we're going to make a decision of whether or not the economy is expanding, contracting. There's a lot of confusion out there. We had a giant jobs number that came out last week. And so there's some indecision, I think, on behalf of the Federal Reserve and other policymakers as to where the economy is going. And I do believe that's reflected in the housing market. So let's talk about supply while we're at it. And there's really not a lot of houses on the market. As of the 1st of February, 3,023. And as I always do, I always say, does that bump up a little bit once you get into any given month? And this month it's only bumped up 20 houses. So we have less than 3,050 houses. Just call it 3,050 statewide single family homes. That is not a lot of homes on the market, but it is notable that this dip that we usually see seasonally is lower than the dip we had last year and the dip we had the year before that. So going into the spring market, assuming this number stands for March 1st is usually the lowest we have on any given year. As long as this trough stays pretty much where it is, that means that going into the spring market, we may have more on the market this spring than we have had in the last 2 years. We'll see, of course. But that's where it tends to be looking to going. More inventory coming this spring. And look how that's impacting the days to offer. Once again, days to offer from, if you put your house in the month March 1st, then how many days do you wait until you actually accept an offer? And that is now up to 33 days in February, or January, I should say. 33 days. On average, it took you 33 days to get an offer you liked. That is way up, as you can see from the summer. The trend is up, and that is the highest it's been since February of 2021. So that's a 2-year high. So that another indication that there's not a lot of sales going. There's not as many sales going. Yeah, and sellers are waiting. The sellers are having a weakened position in the market compared to what happened, say, last May. And take a look at this. The ratio between original price and sales price is down again. Now, I put an asterisk on this page because if you watched last month's update, you may have remembered me saying that the MLS kind of screwed up the numbers a little bit in aggregate, and we didn't have an exact number for this, and they never actually updated it. I called them. I said, hey, there's a problem with this. Why don't you They didn't do it. And they had another anomaly with this month's number. So I don't know really if it's that low, if it's below 96, 95 and a half. But even if it's, as I said last month, 96, 97, 98, the trend is down. Sellers are no longer getting, above asking from their original price. They're having to price drop. And you see that, as I've mentioned before. I get a lot of emails from a lot of agents, and they're always price adjustment. They never say price drop. It's always an adjustment. And I get a lot of those emails now, and you can see that in the MLS, or if you search anywhere on the internet, you can see people are dropping their prices from what they originally listed it at. That is the trend. Sellers are having a weaker hand. And lastly, our lagging indicator, which is the number of sold. Remember, if it's sold in January, then it went under agreement like November or something like that. So this is a lagging indicator. We were down, let's just call it 2,100 single-family homes closed in January. I know that's not a lot. That's not a lot. And, you would think, as previous years have shown us, that would start to turn around come the spring market. But again, it is a lagging indicator. But notice that this is the lowest it was basically the same number we had last year, and both this year and last year were lower than the dip we had in February of 2021. There's not a lot being sold out there right now. So we'll really have to see about the availability of money, right? The price to borrow. That's going to be the big question. And I think a lot of economists and people in Washington, policymakers, are like, where are we going with that? Is the economy up or not so much? I got a question from someone the other day. We were out to eat, and they said, hey, listen, I'm thinking about moving. Does it make sense? My mortgage rate was really low, and they only had like 4 or 5 years, 6 years on their mortgage or whatever it was left. And I actually said, why would you move? Unless you're moving to some place that was much more cost effective, and they were actually thinking about moving to a community that was more expensive. I said, that doesn't make a lot of sense. They do have a development going out behind them, but I was like, I just think that means that your neighborhood is desirable. People want to live there. People are building there. So in that particular case, it's just not effective to move when you have a really good interest rate, and moving is going to cost you, your interest rate's going to go up like double or 3 times or whatever. In their case, it was like they had like 2 something. So it'd be probably 6 something. It wouldn't make sense to move. And I think a lot of people are in this situation. That's why we have such a low inventory. But on the other hand, some sellers need to sell, and they're finding that buyers are having trouble struggling at these interest rates. All right, I'm Jack Gately from Jack Gately Real Estate and the Online Real Estate Academy. You have a great day. See you next month. Bye-bye.